Well, here we are again. We're going to talk tonight about the harnessing the power of dividends and compounding. Again, Jim Hiles, your financial coach. We're going through principle number 3, which is exactly what I mentioned. The power of dividends and compounding. Amazing stuff here. Let's look at these little charts right here that I got up at the screen. We're going to take a look at what compounding looks like in a graphic sense. So 1970, a long time ago. You had $10,000. You put it in the S&P index, just the stock, U.S. stock index. Most of us know the S&P index, and let it run. So when this thing runs and you take out dividends, that's what this gray line is. You end up with $279,000 after you put the 10 grand in 1970. Pretty good rate of return. But if you include those dividends and you reinvest or use the cash to buy additional shares in the index. So every time it pays out a dividend, you take it, you buy more shares in the S&P. Over time, you have more shares, you have more shares, you have more shares. They're doing dividends. They're all doing dividends. We've got more dividends. You're buying more stock, and so on and so forth. And look at the difference. It's crazy. It's $1 million, almost $1.2 million versus 280 in the same period of time. That's $1 million swing through the impact of taking dividends, which generally have been probably less than 2.5%, and just letting it compound, letting the dividends buy and reinvest for you. That is the secret of compounding, with using dividends and growing with more and letting the compounding math work in your advantage. When you look at this down here, we're talking about compounding in a little different way. We're talking about different types of assets. In this case, small companies are small company stocks, small cap stocks, versus the big boys, the large cap stocks, versus bonds. And generally, this is going to be a bond index like the aggregate bond index, T-bills, government treasury bills, and inflation. And you'll look at what goes on here. And this one, we're going to look back for a longer period, 1947 to 2017. And we're going to say, hey, if I put my 10 grand to work back in 1947, which would be a long time ago, in small caps, small companies, how would I have done from a compounded rate of return over time? And this is basically saying that asset classes like small companies have performed the best over this period of time, particularly when you take into consideration, how do you beat inflation? Small companies outperform. The next one down would be large cap companies. And you can see quite a ways down would be bonds and treasury bills, and then inflation. So you're going to see that different asset classes perform in different ways. And the whole adage of where do you find the growth? It's through time and compounding in assets which give you higher rates of growth. So kind of a significant swing, 61 million versus a bond portfolio of 736,000. I'd say that's a fairly significant rate of compounding over time. Anyway, those are 2 examples of what compounding can do for you. Jim Hiles signing off for GoPlan and First Capital. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.